I'm Malcolm.
And I'm Rachel. And together we
did
the
the
Great
Great
Loop.
Loop.
Before we started our loop, there were lots of things we wanted to learn and know. So we thought we'd bring you some of our top tips to start the Great Loop. And some of the things in there are things we didn't even know we needed to know.
And some of the things, they're tips that we have. They may not apply to you, but they're things that we thought would be helpful to know before you embarked upon the Great Loop.
Hi, I'm Malcolm.
And I'm Rachel. We are two Canadians finding exciting ways to enjoy our retirement journey. Come join us as we embrace our retirement lifestyle at home, on the road, and on the water. If you're new around here and you like what you see, please subscribe. In our last episode, we reviewed our Great Loop and gave a summary of our experience on the Great Loop. So if you'd like to see that, just look at the link we've got here. And so today we're going to talk about our top tips. Hi there, we're Malcolm and Rachel, and we completed America's Great Loop in 2023 on our mainship 390 named Stay Cool.
We have been boating over 30 years, and being Gold Loopers, we can offer our advice and top tips for the Great Loop.
Tip number 10.
Have realistic expectations.
We suggest that before you go out on the loop, learn and read as much as you can. Chat to other loopers. Join the AGLCA community. That's America's Great Loop Cruisers Association, and attend one of their rendezvous. They have one in the spring and one every fall. Keep in mind that this trip is an adventure, not a vacation. Tip number 9.
Plan a budget, but don't scrimp.
Plan based on your own spending habits. Use the AGLCA budget planner and allow for a contingency. We found that there's a huge range of spending on the Great Loop, anywhere from $30,000 US to $160,000 US. We know you're wondering, how much did we spend on our Great Loop? We spent around $55,000 US, which is about 80,000 Canadian. This covered absolutely everything on our loop. So that was things like marina fees, fuel, maintenance, the lock passes, all food, sightseeing and entertainment, cell phone charges for Canada, the United States, and the Bahamas, 2 flights home during the loop all the way to British Columbia, insurance for our boat, travel insurance for healthcare, Towboat US, even hotels for when we were setting up our boat, and car rentals. So that was everything. We also want you to know that as Canadians, we spent more on the loop because of the exchange rate in 2022 and 2023. So it makes everything cost more when you're in the United States. And also the Bahamas is very expensive. Tip number 8.
Learn basic boat and engine maintenance.
We suggest that before you go on your loop, become familiar with the systems on your boat. Take a course and learn from your own mechanic. They can offer you the best tips. Practice a lot and get your hands dirty.
Also, we suggest that you develop basic electrical skills for both 12 volt and 110 volt. That was an important one for solar, to understand what was happening on our boat. Have a basic toolbox on board, as well as some power tools, such as a drill or a Dremel tool. Keep spares on board for things like your water pump, your bilge pump, and anodes. Tip number 7.
Get used to maneuvering.
So once you have your boat, practice docking in various wind conditions. We suggest when you dock, go into the wind. If possible, try locking and learn good anchoring techniques. We do like anchoring, so it's important to know how to do it properly. Take a VHF radio course and be comfortable talking on VHF to other vessels, even commercial vessels like barges and ocean-going ships. Use headsets. We had the EarTech brand. Most people call them marriage savers, and these are invaluable when you're trying to talk to each other and you can't see each other. Have lots of fenders and good dock lines and even snubbers. If there's a big storm coming through, you want to be well tied up, and these are all very good things to have on your boat. Let the boat engine move the boat. Don't try to push it with your hands. You could get injured.
The saying goes, there are 2 types of boaters, those that have run aground and those that will. In our case, due to good planning, maybe a bit of luck, we have no groundings, no anchor drags, and no breakdowns in our 6,200-mile voyage around the Great Loop and through the Bahamas. With careful planning, being vigilant, and aware of your surroundings, you too can safely navigate the Great Loop and still call yourself real boaters.
Tip number 6.
Enjoy the ride and see the sights.
Your favorite sites will be different from others. Explore all varieties of waterways and enjoy it. Research ahead, but not too much. Be spontaneous and have an open mind. Our favorites were the Canadian waterways because of the fresh, clear water and unspoiled landscape. We enjoyed the Bahamas because it was exotic and different. And all the waterways throughout the entire loop had provided such variety. Each place was unique.
One of my favorites was to see the wildlife along the way. I thought it was exciting to see manatees, alligators, and pelicans, but it was really special to see the dolphins riding our bow. Tip number 5.
Plan to go home at least once.
You might not think it's important when you're out on this adventure, but we do suggest to go home and take a break. You'll appreciate looping even more. So you have the chance to visit your family, but don't be surprised that they aren't as interested in discussing all about your looping adventure too much. Save your looping chit-chat for docktails with other loopers. Tip number 4.
Take warm clothes.
You think when you get on your boat, you're just going to need t-shirt and shorts. It couldn't be further from the truth.
We found when we were out for the whole year, there were more cool days than warm days. So take layers that are comfortable.
It usually feels a little cooler out on the water too, so layers are important. Tip number 3.
There's no need to over-provision.
Food is readily available all along the loop, so you don't need to pack your boat full of food before you leave. You can take some basics, but really you don't need to pack that much. You can also have orders delivered to your boat, so you don't have to carry it for miles. So it's easy to find food along the way. Don't panic about packing everything ahead of time. Tip number 2.
Get your boat at least 1 year before you leave.
This, I think, is one of the most important tips before going on the Great Loop. Become familiar with your vessel and practice using it. Learn what maintenance is required for your specific vessel. There really is no perfect boat. The best boat is the one you like the best and can comfortably manage with your crew. Make sure your setup is comfortable before you go. Get a good mattress. Have a good place to sit and a place to eat. We also suggest if you like anchoring, get a good dinghy with a fast motor. Also, it needs to have an easy davit system. If it's not easy to use, you won't use it. Always be prepared for an emergency. You never know what can happen. We found on the year that we did our loop, the mainship was the most popular boat for that year and also several years before. So it is a good boat, but whatever boat you choose is your choice. And our top tip, number 1.
Time is of the essence.
This is so true. This is a trip of a lifetime, and you can always save more money, but you can never gain more time. So if you're thinking of doing the Great Loop, do it now while you can. Overall, I would say that we had a lot of fun with the planning, navigating, and operating the boat every day on our Great Loop adventure. We worked really well as a team, and as a couple, both people really must be invested. It was a rewarding experience to take our own vessel over 6,000 miles. While crossing our wake felt like an accomplishment, it was more about the journey and the daily challenges. After we finished, it took a bit of time to get used to not moving every day. It doesn't have to be all done at once, but many loopers do complete the Great Loop in 1 year. Knowing what we know now, would we still want to do the loop?
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. So those are our top 10 tips for the Great Loop. And I'm sure we've missed something. So if there's something that you want to see or hear about, leave a comment below.
Yeah, we'd love to hear from you. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Maybe those that have done it, planning for it, wishing they do or could. Leave your comments and thoughts. We'd love to hear from you.
And join us next week when we give a more comprehensive review and our honest opinion of the mainship 390. Thanks for watching. Is it scrimp or skimp?
Oh, don't be a scrimper.
Don't scrimp. Is it scrimp?
No, it's skimp.
Okay. Tip number 8.
Learn basic boat and something maintenance. Welcome to our Great Loop.